guys, this is Ashmita from Arts and Craft, and today I want to do a really fun decoupage project. I want to do a start to finish video recording, and the thing that I'm going to be altering today is this really cute little, let me grab it for you. I'm going to be altering this trunk, and that is why you see me working on here in my living room on my table with all these newspapers wrapping my table. So a little bit about the trunk. It's a simple tin trunk and it's brand new, and you can see they have the company logo or whatever happening on there, and it's got a nice latch in the front and handles on the side. So a little bit about what I'm going to do to this one is I decided not to decoupage on the inside because it does not have a very smooth surface, and I don't think it will be giving me a nice look in the end, because it does have a lot of bumps and uneven surfaces. So I decided to spray paint on the inside. So this is what I'm going to be using. It's a simple spray paint, and I'll just go ahead and add 2 coats of this and I'll show you. So guys, I'm back and I went ahead and spray painted the insides, and you can see it's a really lovely dusty gold, and I love the finish of spray paint. You don't really have to do much. I did go ahead and do 3 coats and it's fairly dry. And whenever you're using spray paint and if you want to build up the layers, you need to let each of your layers dry. So I spray painted 1 coat and then I gave a 10-minute gap, and then I sprayed again, and so on. So you can see I've nicely covered all the areas and it's pretty nice and tidy inside. So now for the outside, since we're going to be adding a lot of decoupage pages, so I'm going to use my Liquitex gesso, and I'm using the white, and I think this is a new bottle, so I'm just going to peel off my protective cover. So let's just get that out of the way. And I'm going to just put the lid back on. And I've already cleaned my trunk with a nice dry cloth to remove all the dust and grime. It's very important to get a nice smooth and even finish. And I'm going to be using a brush for the first layer, and let's see the finish, because it's tin, and if I don't get the finish that I want, I might move on to a sponge. So I'm just going to speed this process up. You're going to watch me paint this in fast mode. went back and I've gessoed the trunk and also went ahead and added a couple of coats of spray paint to this. And why I did that was I wanted the texture of the brush with the gesso so that it wasn't so smooth as like it is on the inside. So it's just going to add a little bit of texture to my decoupaging, and it also gives a nice finish to all the bits that I won't be covering. So I wanted the gold showing, and here again on the back, on the bottom, I spray painted it first with black and then a bit with the gold. For some reason this did not get covered, but that's okay, let that just be there because I don't want to decoupage the bottom, but I will be adding some feet probably. So next I'm going to show you the collection that I'm going to be working with. So these are the pre-collection that I'm going to be working with. These are the Decoupage specialty papers. These are 100 GSM from Bob and Betty, and they are called the Classics, Rosier and the Meadows. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick out sheets that are complementing each other, because I feel that the color combinations of these three collections is pretty cohesive. So let's just do that. These are the sheets that I pulled out, and you can see I have them. I picked out things that I feel are cohesive and they go with each other, and the colors are really complementing throughout the three collections. So I actually pulled out all from the Meadows collection and 2 from the Classics and a couple from the Rosier. So I'm really liking this one here, and I have something special in mind for this one. So you saw me pull that on the right. And for the rest of these, I want to cut them down to smaller pieces. And let me just show you how I'm going to do that. So I've pulled out my trimmer, and I have my pieces of paper here. I'm just going to go through each of these and just check them out and see which bits and designs that I like and how I'm going to cut them. So just by eye, I'm going to segregate them. So I'm really liking this this pattern as well as the print on it. I want to have this going on the top lid of my trunk as it is. So I'm just not going to cut this. I'm going to move this aside. And I think that the poppies, these look like poppies to me. So I won't be using this sheet. I'm going to put that aside as well. And I'm going to keep these 3 aside as well for now, and I'm going to start cutting these first. So let's just see. Let's just measure this down first. So these are almost about 12 inches. And they are about 3/8 inches wide. So I'm just going to, since I'm liking these 2 patterns here, and I would like that to show. So I'm going to probably cut them this way. So about, doesn't really matter which direction I cut. I don't want to cut the bottom, so just cut that out and roughly around 4 inches. So there is no real measurement here. I'm just cutting little tiles out of my decoupage papers since I'm going to mix in all of these patterns. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that with all of my papers here. To my madness here. What I've done is I've just tried to segregate all of the images and create as many eclectic shapes and sizes, not shapes but sizes that I can, with keeping the images on them intact. So not a lot of these images are going to show through, but I'm going to try. So I'm just going to put these away and I'm going to start working with these. As of now, I don't want to work with I don't want to cut up everything because I'm not sure how much of it I'm going to need in the end. So I'm just going to store these away. I'm going to bring in my box. So to get started, what you're going to need is, you're going to need some water. And you have to excuse my nanny and my baby in the background. There's going to be a lot of surround sound. So that's going to be ongoing, so can't be helped. So I've taken some water. I'm taking some decoupage glue, and this is from Fevicryl Mod Podge gloss. They only have the gloss, they do not have the matte, but I've used this before and it's really nice. So, and it does work well with the bob and Betty papers. So I'm going to be using this since it's a big project. It's cheaper. I've taken a sheet of cardboard, light chipboard in and packaging sheet like this, basically a waterproof surface. So I'm going to be using that. Of course, you're going to be needing a paintbrush and some baby wipes, and these are dried up baby wipes. So I'm just going to take one for now. And this is the image that I really liked. So, and you can see it already looks pretty nice with just that on there. So I'm going to use that as my guide and have that in the center and decoupage all around, and then go ahead and Mod Podge it right in the middle. So I'm just going to, since I forgot to grab a pencil, I'm just going to roughly do that so I know where my sheet begins. I'm just going to wet my paintbrush here and I'm going to begin choosing my designs. And what I'm basically going to start doing is I'm going to grab my paintbrush and some water, and I'm going to soak up my decoupage sheet here. Like really soak it up, drench it like so. And then I'm going to pull up some of the water. I'm going to take some of my decoupage glue and put it on my ad hoc craft mat. I'm going to put my water on my side as well. And using the same brush, I'm going to get some glue on here. And that's basically how I'm going to prep all of my pieces each time. So, I'm just going to pick this up and maybe begin with this corner. Forgotten the first basic step. So since I'm going to be covering this corner, I'm going to cover this up with some Mod Podge. Get some Mod Podge on there, and I'm going to drop my piece. Once you've got it soaked in water, it goes on really well and very smooth. It's not going to give you any air bubbles. It's just a very lovely paper to work with. So, and you can see, just going to smooth it all out so that I don't have any air bubbles in there. And since there's a little bump on there, I'm just going to do that. So that's the first one. Let's move on to our next piece. So I'm just going to haphazardly create some eclectic patterns with my pieces here. So I'm going to be placing this here. I'm just going to overlap it a little bit. Like so. And I did get the text in the wrong direction. You really have to be mindful of that. So, I'm just going to smooth it out. Fingers work best. And I will just keep working with that. Just a little bit of water goes a long way. Just going to be adding this piece here. And then I'm just going to go ahead and keep grabbing pieces from my stash here and keep building up my the top of my box. So probably I would want something that goes overlapping. So this is going to be a slow process because I'm going to be building from each of the sides. So I think I'm really liking that. So I'm going to first use this Get it all nice and covered in the mixture of Mod Podge and water. I'm gonna put it on my trunk over. I'm going to do this one first. So you can see I'm going to change my mind in between. I'm going to keep on grabbing different pieces. Oops. Grabbing different pieces from time to time. I'm going to change them up last minute. It's just the way it works because I'm trying to build up a collage here with all of these different collections. So I just want to finish this corner off. I'm just going to grab a skinny piece that I cut earlier. And let's make sure about the text. I'm just going to slide it on there. Just using and you see the layers coming up. So I'm really liking this dream catcher, so maybe I'm going to just add it now. As for the birds, I'm going to leave the birds on for a second and I'm going to work with the dream catcher. So I get the front of it wet first. Then I turn it over and I add more water and a little bit of that Decoupage Mod Podge glue, and then I go in over the area I want to lay my image with the Mod Podge and the water mixture. And I'm just going to drop it on there. The reason I'm working on my coffee table is because the sheer size of this trunk, it was sort of knocking over everything that was there on my shooting table, my videography table. So I thought the coffee table gives you more access and free space all the way around. So I'm working in my living room. Hi guys, so my battery basically died, and what I did was I moved my setup back inside into my studio. And the sitting on the floor wasn't really cutting it for me. So what I did was, this was an A4 size sheet. So I cut 1 inch in from all 4 sides because I just wanted to make it a little smaller to show more of the collaging that I was doing. So that's the only thing I did off camera. And basically now I'm going to just continue covering up my box. So basically I want to show you how I'm going to do this, and I hope I am on camera. I'm just going to press down, emboss a little bit on that paper itself to get the shape of the latch. I do not want to cover that with the decoupage paper, so that just gives me a rough shape and I know where to cut. So you can see I just cut around that latch there, and I didn't really do a very tidy job, but I think it's gonna do since the paper is really very forgiving. So that's what that looks like. And then we are sort of ready to add this one in the middle. I'm just going to grab a ruler and then we're ready to add this one. I'm just going to grab a ruler and quickly measure this out. So this is about roughly 10 inches and my trunk is about 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, 19 inches. So that's 10. So I need to leave about 4.5 inches on both sides. So I've gone ahead and added the piece in the center, and I'm just adding a thin layer of water and Mod Podge mix all over my lid. My lid is essentially done, and my battery died, so I couldn't record me putting down this piece in the center, but basically I just used a ruler to center the piece from all 4 sides and just slapped it right in the middle. And then we can move on towards the sides. I'm going to start working on the front first. So simply the same way I've been doing throughout. It's going to be a little different because I don't want to cover the bottom, so we're going to work accordingly. I'll show you a few of these. So I'm just grabbing the piece that I want, and again I won't be adding any paper here because that's going to obstruct the lid closing. So just going to make sure that I have good coverage of Mod Podge and water. So this bit here is going to be needed to be trimmed off because of the shape of the trunk. So I'm going to have to trim that little bit off, and I'm going to do that once it's dry. And I'm just going to keep moving on with my pieces. I'm just going to take a scissor and trim that excess bit off after it's a little dry. So just going to leave that hanging for a bit now. So you can see it's pretty dry. So I'm just going to cut this piece off. As you can see, I have pretty much covered most of my sides and I have little areas left. So I'm just going to go ahead and add small pieces of sheets and cover those up and just finish this off. So I'm just going to do that. Hi guys, so I'm back and I've covered the entire box with my decoupage papers, and I went over the entire trunk with 2-3 layers of a mix of water and Mod Podge to give it a nice finish and even surface. So that also locks in all of my papers and it also gives me a protective layer on top. So I may go ahead and varnish it at a later point, but as of now I'm pretty happy with what the Mod Podge is doing for my trunk. So let's see, if it collects too much dust and it gets a little wonky, I might go ahead and varnish it. But as of now, the only thing I have on is a couple of layers of Mod Podge and water, and it looks pretty tough to me. So to finish this entire thing off, I'm going to be adding some metals, and you can see I have some already done. So I'm going to be adding these metal corners to the corners of the centerpiece. So I'm using some glossy accent, and do not be deceived by the bottle. I just have transferred my glossy accent into a different bottle. So it's just plain old glossy accent. And the reason my box is swinging around is because I have a little propped up on some cardboard pieces. So because I'm still drying it up. It's still drying from all of the Mod Podge. So it's swinging around. So I think that looks pretty neat. And then I have these corners. So I'm just going to be adding my corners. And I will be sharing a finished photograph of this project, so you can see all of the sides in detail. It's kind of hard to show the entire trunk in all the way around, all the sides of the trunk, because it's so large and I have my camera on on my tripod and I'm not holding it in my hands. It's going to be difficult to do the same both the things at the same time. So there you go. That's the last corner. And then I do want to add some feet. Let's see. So I have this filigree here and I'm just going to fold it in at 90 degree, and I want to add these on this side, on this protruding belt of the trunk. So let's see how well that goes. I'm just going to add some glossy accent to my filigree. I'm just going to I think I'm just going to grab some tape to tape this on. So I'm just taking some washi tape and I'm just gonna use this to tape my piece down till it dries. Washi, as you know, is easy to pull back. So it's gonna let my I'm going to use the washi and I'm just going to tape that there, and I'm just going to pull that out once my piece is dry. So I'm going to repeat that on all 4 sides, and I'm also going to be adding these feet to my boxes, and I'm also leaving these as is because I said I'm going to not decoupage over these hardwares. Probably I might use some ink gold, but what I decide you'll see in my final piece. But as of now, I am pretty happy with the trunk. It just turned out exactly the way I want, and you will see the final result in the pictures with all of the metal pieces dried up and done. So thanks for watching, and if you have any questions and queries, don't forget to post them in the comments and or drop messages. So thanks for watching. Bye bye.